Do it again?
Okay, so as I understand it now, I have debt, or I want to buy something.
Yeah.
I want to
Buy or purchase?
Purchase, obviously, right?
I want to acquire some property for my
Future.
business, some medical equipment, whatever. So I go to this investment company or the bank, and I borrow money from them. That's how I understand it so far. That's how everybody understands it right now.
Yeah.
I go borrow money, I get my equipment, and then in my blood, sweat, and tears, I'm paying them every month,
Right.
paying them back.
Yep.
So you're saying that's not actually what's going on.
I am saying that.
Okay. So tell us what's going on.
Banks and money and how currency flows, as I see it. 1913 was a pivotal year when banks were consolidated. Prior to that, smaller banks were more of a mom and pop operation. Gold was money, as it was known. So money would be deposited with any given bank, and in exchange were claim tickets, receipts, known as banknotes. Looked a little different, but just kind of how we would generally perceive Federal Reserve notes now. Very, very similar. Special paper is probably, tough bond paper.
Used to call it like silver certificates or whatever, gold certificates.
Nope, that jumps ahead
Okay.
farther into Federal Reserve notes. You know what? They might have been. They might have been.
Okay.
They might have been.
And you were saying this is no different than when you go to the dry cleaner and drop off your shirts and
Sure.
you get a claim check.
Right.
It's the exact same.
Same principle, same reason.
And there's no more significance to those notes other
Claim
than
checks.
I can get my property back from
Right.
the dry cleaner.
Right.
Which is the gold.
Right. The gold. Yep.
Okay.
Which is the property. And so to understand why the gold is important, we have to understand the difference between purchase and buy. It's critical. So to buy something is an even exchange of value. To have that perfectly defined and agreeable by everybody is impossible, but there's a general concept of an equitable exchange. Maybe I have a ship that's worth $10,000, and you have a bunch of cattle that you want to swap straight across, and we both agree to the deal.
Yep.
That's the equitable exchange.
So that's property for property.
Property for property. A
Or
property
service
right.
for property could be.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Whatever you and I decide.
Agreed. Yep. Yep. And so gold has intrinsic inherent value in it. And so that's why it sufficed as evenly as a trade, as a barter. Because it was intrinsic. Because of the intrinsic nature of gold. In other words, it didn't need to be the shape of a coin to retain its value. Melt it down to a cube, and most folks would just give you the same value for it.
Yeah.
By and large, more or less. Maybe, a coin has a 5 or 8% difference to it sometimes. I don't know. But generally speaking, and maybe it's just for the minting process of it or whatever, gold had its intrinsic value. And so to acquire something other than to buy is a purchase.
Okay.
And a purchase is to acquire by any other means except for inheritance.
Okay.
But it's out in the realm and precinct of exchange. So,
So is a purchase by any other means, or is a purchase have to do with this whole claim check thing?
it does. Claim checks do have to factor into purchase. It's inferior to buy. And so to purchase something, maybe if I still want those cows, I don't remember if I had the cows or the ship. Did I have the cows?
You have
Yeah.
a ship.
Perfect. So I still want to buy your cows.
Okay.
And I write you a check, which is just a claim. It's just a chosen action to go get the money at the bank later. We're still talking days of gold. So you take the check and you trust me enough to take this check, and you're gonna run it down to Nate's bank where my gold is deposited to cash this in. And so Nate says, "Hey, hold it. There's no gold here for this." There was no equitable exchange. You gave up property, and now you're running around chasing down property. You're trying to find it. You were unsuccessful at the bank. Now your next recourse is back to find me directly. Yo, your check's no good. There's a problem down there. I can handle that one of two ways. No, there's already money down there. One of two ways. One of many. There's gold down there now. Let's just walk. I'll go down there with you. It's down there. We go back down. Nate, come on, give him that gold. I know it was. Oh yeah, we got it now. Sorry about that, dude. We got you covered. Finally, you get your property. Or maybe we don't do that, and you come to have me make good on that check. It's just a bill of exchange. It's a negotiable instrument. This used to haunt me. What the hell are we using negotiable instruments for if there's cash? What? A claim on cash? Just use cash. I never got it. This is something that kept me questioning till I put it all together. So,
That's the second claim check. That's a claim check on a claim check.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or just a claim check on property.
Okay.
I mean, way back before gold was pulled out from under, a negotiable instrument would be right to gold.
Okay.
No, you wouldn't then, unless you wanted cash for that bank, which would be a claim check on a claim check.
Because it's easier to carry than gold.
You
Doesn't
got it. Yep.
tear your pockets
Yep.
out, like
It
you
could-
said. Yeah.
Yeah, so it could have been, but that's a little bit more sophisticated knowledge to know that yes. Ultimately, let's say you're successful in acquiring this gold. You now have property for property. Now you got to par, but it took a while, and you were not at par when you took the check. It was a purchase. Ultimately, it was a buy. And so, in 1913, the Federal Reserve as a system was put in place and allowed by the federal government.
Is it what we might call like a bank consolidation program?
Yeah, it's an association of banks.
Okay. Association of Banks.
Yeah.
Private Bank Association
Yeah.
of Banks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they were printing up claim checks and loaning them to the federal government to then put into circulation.
But they had to get the federal government, i.e., our
A congressional act
a congressional act,
to have that put in place.
to approve that.
Yeah. I don't know the whole story behind it. The story behind that is twofold. One is G. Edward Griffin's Creature from Jekyll Island, and William Still's The Money Masters.
Okay.
Great show to watch. If this interested you, it's background to this.
All right.
Ties all this together. So, 1913, Federal Reserve goes into place. Is there any red dots on my forehead?
We're safe.
Okay. And as they're loaning these claim checks out, these banknotes out, they need to get paid back in gold. Do they need to? I don't know. That's what happened. They were reimbursed with gold because at that point in time, gold is how you paid a bill.
From Fort Knox, whatever.
Whatever. Probably. I know a little bit of. Let's stop that story. Let's pause a little bit about how gold is moved around in a facility. Do we really go get a bunch of them and move them somewhere? Man, that's dangerous. That's risky.
Yeah.
Who are we going to hire to do that? A lot of these big security places like Fort Knox have their floors marked out with paint. And who owns the gold? There's just a guy in there with a forklift driving it, moving it around onto. I got a little place marked out.
Oh, wow.
Spencer. We're not going to haul that thing to Washington from Fort Knox. I mean, gold's always in transit.
Yeah.
One spot, moving around.
Yeah. Because there were too many bank robberies in the Old West, right?
What's that?
There were too many bank
Yeah.
robberies in the Old
But
West.
isn't that interesting? This stuff moves from Switzerland to Saudi Arabia, just right there.
Wow.
Oh, no. Now we're going from Saudi Arabia over to Japan. Yeah. Over here. Yeah, that's how that gold moves around. So, it probably just moved from the U.S. government. Hey, let's just erase that line and put Federal Reserve. But, so the U.S. paid in gold as reimbursement for those Federal Reserve notes. Face value, mind you. Face value plus interest.
Jeez.
Right.
So,
It's bad deal.
By 1933, there was no more gold to pay because it wasn't circulating. One type went out, and gold went in. Gold was depleted since it wasn't a cycle or circulation.
Okay.
There was a pure depletion.
Okay, so what did the U.S. Treasury get out of that deal? Why did we do that? What did we get out of it as a public trust or whatever?
My pure speculation was just the guys that signed the OK had their pockets lined individually in order to screw the system.
Okay, so
The gatekeepers made out.
what is the general idea that
Speculation.
people accept is the value that, I mean, looking back on it now, why would,
That was the why I don't know. That was the why that's
Okay.
irrational. Remember I told you there's a why that just doesn't make sense.
yeah,
You're going to get to that.
yeah.
And it's corruption, right?
So we're talking, and I just want to jump ahead to answer this question, then we can go back into the historical perspective. But you're saying that there's a public trust that we can access and bypass the gatekeepers.
Boy, you're jumping ahead.
I know I'm jumping way ahead, and then we'll come back. But so I just want to understand this whole U.S. Treasury thing. Like the gold moved to the Federal Reserve
Yeah.
zone on the floor of Fort Knox.
Yep.
In order, and in exchange, we got notes,
Yep.
claim checks.
Yep.
So all of those claim checks, basically, what we're saying is now we can trade all those claim checks on the gold. That we can work. So all the banks and all of us are you just using these notes, these claim checks, these numbers in a computer system. That's all we're using now.
Yeah.
Okay. So at that point, now you're saying.
Well,
that,
no.
You're
no.
saying that there's now
No.
something else that's
That's
replaced the gold.
Yeah, that's
the
an
gold
invalid
coin.
question. We got to swap out property. You can't ask that question yet.
Okay.
It doesn't compute.
Okay. So now go back to just moving gold from one zone to the next, and we sold out in exchange for these claim checks. And so next step, what happens?
After 33, gold's gone.
After 1933.
Right, June 5th. HJR 192 is what put the wheels in the motion of a new system.
So interesting. I was just, we were talking yesterday, right? There's this draconian meteor shower coming in right now. Peaks on the 8th.
Wow.
Comes from the head constellation of Draco.
Uh-huh.
And last time it peaked was 1933. It's like thousands of meters a year. No, a minute. Thousands of meters a minute. And it said last time it peaked was 1933.
And you mentioned that, and I was going, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I googled it. 1933, worst year of U.S. depression, and it's when Hitler became chancellor. And then this guy comes by. That's when gold was gone. I was just like, fucking 1933. That's when that meteor shower from that comet came through.
Well, and Mel
You mean
Fabregas
yesterday?
Yeah.
Fabregas
That happened yesterday?
often
Yeah.
talks about the 11-year cycle of,
The sun?
there's 2001, the solar maximums, and how all the major stuff that's gone down in our country occurred on September 11th.
Solar maximum.
So
I'm
anyway.
sorry.
Anyway,
Let me have a little more momentum on this. So,
Sure.
So when the gold was gone, the Federal Reserve System was still up and rolling. It's still there, but now how do we? So now, as somebody,
the dog.
well, oh my God,
The dog farted.
Great jet. Get going. Go.
the Federal Reserve, the system is still in place. There's no more gold to feed back into it as compensation. I'll go back, sit back down. I think the dog.
Okay.
So, man, I kind of get lost in these little side channels in my mind. So the Federal Reserve now needs surety. They need something to be certain of, figuratively collateral.
Because there's no more gold.
Because there's no more gold. How are you guys going to keep paying us? You guys being the federal government. We're going to keep producing, and they had a contract or an agreement or something. It says, hey, this is what we're going to do. Here's the system. It's up and running. We got the gold out of the system. We need surety that we're going to continue to get paid. And so that surety was an income tax. Well, how do we track income tax? We just handshake? No, we got to be able to enforce it and administer it and keep track of it, which is the Social Security system. So once people sign up and agree to it, and yep, that's me. Come on, give me a card. Put a signature on it. That system was set up in place to, since everybody within the system that uses Federal Reserve notes needs to do business with someone with a Social Security number. Now we have there's our connection, and pulling people into the system by agreement. And so
By contract.
yeah, that's the contract. And so now that if you want to, so the income tax isn't a tax on income, it's rent on the Federal Reserve notes. Hey, you guys can use our privately issued script in exchange for a third, or what? Now it's a third now, whatever. But whatever started at back then was a certain percentage. I don't know if it was 8% or 10%, or for certain incomes it was whatever, and then it just slowly got ratcheted up over time. But that's rent on private script.
So the IRS sets up the system.
Well, we're not there yet.
Okay.
Hold on.
All right.
So to get a Social Security number, we need a birth certificate, and a birth certificate stands in place of, that's evidence of, that's the tangible aspect of property, which is labor. We still got to have property, and so the birth certificate is issued when someone live appears, when someone that can potentially produce labor is attributed to it. One labor producer has a bond for it. There's our tangible evidence of it. Just one.
Makes me wonder if some of the power elite created Mormonism and the whole idea, and the Catholicism, the whole idea of having plenty of souls to save,
Oh, yeah.
8 or 9 kids, it just creates more surety
Sure.
for the whole system.
Sure. More, baby. More batteries.
More batteries.
So the birth certificate gets laundered through different agencies. I don't remember, but it ultimately ends up with Treasury.
So
And
the Treasury can present it back to the Federal Reserve and say, here we go, we got the promise of this labor over this person's lifetime. Or
I don't think they present it. I think
Oh,
they
okay.
just house it in a file. They keep it.
Oh, okay.
So, or wherever it goes, there's evidence there as well.
Okay.
So, man, I'm getting kind of lost in different threads of thought here.
So the original question was, you're kind of giving backstory to the historical perspective of how this system was put in place.
Yeah.
Just kind of the structure, the foundation of how it got to where it is. Because today I think I go to a bank to borrow money in order to
Yeah.
buy some equipment or to
Yeah.
buy a home. And you're saying, well, that's not exactly what's going on.
Yeah. So to skip ahead, or to continue on, I don't know that I did property justice. Did I in this?
I don't know.
So now instead of gold being the property and gold being the allowance of equitable exchange, we have evidence of property, which is the birth certificate, or actual property, which is the labor. When you go to do whatever, you're going to go produce whatever it is you're going to be. You're a roofer, and that's what you do as your life's work. Throughout your life, you're going to be accumulating and maintaining a certain credit score. Through Equifax and those guys, they keep track of your labor. They keep track of your property. How much property is this guy producing? Well, he's got a credit score of 610. That's a measuring tape of your property. You can't measure labor, but there's got to be some way to attribute your productivity versus mine. That's your credit score. And so when you go to a bank and you say, hey, listen, I want to do a loan and I want to buy some equipment and it's going to be $110,000, they go check to see how much labor, how much property you put into the system. Except they don't use the word property, they use the word credit score. So there's other folks out there, there's a different system that measures your property. And they tell the bank, the gatekeeper, what that measurement is. And so then they'd have you fill out a promissory note for the amount of property that you are able to tap into. The bank takes that promissory note and tenders it to Treasury in the front door and out the back door. And that's kind of a euphemism for you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. You do up front, but where and how it goes out, we don't know. That's a back deal. And so it goes to Treasury. Now Treasury gets this thing, and they just monetize it. And it's kind of like, picture Treasury as a silo full of beans, and the beans are property. And so when this guy gets his marching orders from a bank and it all checks out, this is all legit, he goes to tap into your little slice of property. And so he lets a bunch of your beans out. He lets a bunch of your property out of this silo, which is Treasury. And he has no way to check if it's right or wrong. And that little system is kind of like you go to a bar, and there's a guy at it's a college town with lots of kids, and there's the guy. He's not a bartender at the door. He's just making sure that anybody that gets past him is 21. And by the time you get into this big bar and it holds 250 people, and you go up to a bartender and you order a beer, he doesn't give half a shit. He doesn't entertain how old you are, because that's already been checked by another gatekeeper. You ask for beer, he's handing it over.
Yep.
That aspect of the check and balance is done. Same thing with Treasury. When he gets the correct paperwork and accesses your Social Security number, isn't that what you give him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's got that, and he goes, yeah, okay. The guy at the door already checked to make sure this guy's 21. In other words, the check's already done. He's just the bartender. The guy at Treasury is just the bartender. And so if he gets an order, everything checks out okay to fulfill that order. And so this guy that's allowing a certain amount of property to exit Treasury, which doesn't really, it's just a wire transfer. He taps in I don't know how much the loan was, $110,000. He types in the 110, hits enter, and that's a wire transfer, Fed wire, back to, and he looked at the promissory note that said, hey, part of the instructions there is to, here's the routing number and account number. Send it back to XYZ bank that you're doing business with. There's your loan. So that those funds, that currency, went figuratively speaking, in the back door and into an account that they had opened up in your name, Social Security number. Pow! It shows up there. It's always yours. They're just putting a roof over it.
Yeah.
And so they call you up and say, hey, your loan's here. You're ready to go. Come on in and get the 110 grand. Maybe you write a check on. They give you a check on that account. Well, that account was right out of wherever it arrived from FedWire. There's the 110, and they say, hey, listen, we need you to pay back $610 a month for however many months. I'm just making stuff up. And so now you go out and sweat, equity, time, effort, energy is what they want from you, and they'd like tears and blood if you would.
Yep.
So, so you pay back that $610 by being out and laboring for those claim tickets, Federal Reserve notes, or the equivalent, checks, or whatever. You go labor for it, and maybe you own the business, and so you get percentage from your business, or maybe you're an hourly guy, and in this case you're the roofer. You're making 30 grand a year, so you have to go roof to produce enough Federal Reserve notes to pay that back. Because you didn't know that the bank didn't have a skin in the game.
Yeah. They were just a middle guy, just verifying with the silo.
All they're doing, well, no, they verified with Equifax.
Oh, yeah.
Right? There's no, if you have a Social Security number, that's the first thing that we need to start with. Is, hey, we'll never be able to go talk to the silo. We'll never be able to go talk to the bartender if you don't have a Social Security number. So that if you don't have that, you can't get a loan.
Yeah.
That's why. There's no loan to get.
Yeah.
There's no money to get.
Got it.
And so, okay, we got your Social Security number. First things first. Now let's go check with Equifax. Let's go see how much property you're worth. They don't know these terms. They don't know why they're doing it. We just got a credit report. We just have to make sure you're good for it. Bullshit. And that's why when you think, God, this.
Hey.
When you want a loan and you have certain disadvantages on your credit report, and you're going, that's bullshit. This should not get in the way of how much money I borrow, but it does. That's why they're measuring you.
Yeah.
But when you go get a loan from the bank, it only takes less than 30 days.
Yeah.
So they must have some accelerated system
Yeah.
to the silo guy.
Yeah. And
Because if you do it, it takes months, right?
Yeah, and here's what I think that is. Here's what I think that is. XYZ Bank, known banks, Ford dealerships, big hospitals, all these guys that really know how to use a social security number are known guests at the ESETI Ranch. We know this guy.
Yeah.
He's streamlined. There's a desk set up for him at Treasury.
Got it.
And so here comes Frank, and he does an A for V, and it comes in the front door, and this thing bounces. Who is it that processes Frank? Well, let's put him on. I don't know. Let's go set him over here and have the Bank of America guy do it. He goes, God, I've never seen anything like this before. All this stuff's right. It's like a bartender that's looking at a 12-year-old kid going, I don't ever have to card anybody, but I've never seen a 12-year-old. Something's not right here.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you be 21? I don't get it. I'm going to have to talk to my supervisor. And so that's the kind of going against the grain that when we A for V that they had to problem solve. It wasn't a system set up.
Especially when we're A for V for $700.
$700. It's
Yeah.
chump change. They're going, what?
Yeah.
$700. They're accustomed to mortgage values, $210,000, $400,000, 1.2, car value of 36 grand.
So the A for V we think it's a new instrument for us, but actually it's an already existent instrument.
System that's been going
It's
on
already-
since 33.
Yeah, it's a system that's in place that the banks use. So when somebody goes to borrow money, quote unquote, borrow money from a bank,
Yeah.
the bank then, because I actually, some of my clients are mortgage lenders, so I understand the process. Those guys are going to the quote unquote underwriter. The underwriter is probably somebody who's knows how much they can loan based on certain qualifications. They're like the bank head, and that bank head they manage the account with the Fed. They manage the A for V account.
I don't know that.
Okay,
I don't know enough about that system. I don't know.
but you were saying, I mean, where did the banks get it from?
Fed.
When I was 12 years old, I'm like,
Treasury.
yeah, where do the banks get this money from? And of course, we're saying there's no money actually exchanged.
Right.
It's just an accounting.
It is just an
that
accounting.
occurs.
And we only allow you to so much accounting based on as a balance to what
Yeah.
we think your property is.
So I'm
Relative to other
I'm not borrowing money from the bank. The bank's not on the hook for my house that I'm borrowing
Not at
money
all.
on. They're just being a middle guy, and they're because they're managing this account with the silo guy, the treasury,
Yep.
where my public trust is.
Yep.
They're getting paid for it. They're charging interest for that.
And,
So that's how-
the principal.
And the principal and
Oh, so it's double amount.
Oh. And then they bundle and sell it and then they sell the debt.
Oh my God.
Triple sometimes. Now watch
They're
this. Then they take your house back. That they never had a skin in the game.
So they get the money on the principal and on the interest,
And
and
the
they
interest.
get the property,
Yep.
and none of it was theirs in the first place.
None of it.
They had no right to it whatsoever.
No. Now they did have time, effort, and energy into setting up the administration, right? But not the 110,000.
Like a hedge fund manager getting paid $10 million for a Christmas bonus.
Yeah.
For what? What did he do?
Right.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh. So we're paying all of our blood, sweat, and tears to the bank on money that is already ours.
Right.
So they're just making money off of us for no reason.
Right. And I would say they'd do something, right? If you were to set up a bank, whatever that is, let's just say it's not a chain, but it's just
Yeah.
let's just look at this one branch.
My local bank is awesome. They're local money.
Okay. So those people still need
Yeah.
their salaries. Got to put a roof, some infrastructure. But how much time, effort, energy did they put in to processing your loan? Let's just say that's worth $700-800. Right? Or let's say it's worth $2,500. Right? Whatever the points are, maybe.
Yeah.
That's what it's worth. The points,
Yeah.
not all this stuff. What are the points to? I mean, I don't know. The only time I've ever bought a house, I paid cash for it. I bought it from my mom, and I didn't pay for it for a year. No, I paid for it right up front, and about a year or two later, I called my mom and I said, you know, I probably ought to get the title for this place. And so we went down, and we've never seen anything like this before, as far as transferring the title, because there was no loan, and my mom had carried the note when she bought the place, and they built it.
Wow.
So it was never part of there was never a conventional finance on it. And titles were very strange on it.
So you had to create title.
I don't remember what happened, yeah. But anyway, my point is I've never gone through a mortgage situation myself.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how all that stuff works.
All right. So
But here's my point: is I'm trying to value the bank and what the service that they provide.
well,
And so it's probably $2,500, and here you go. Thank you.
yeah, but they don't actually.
Not $2,500 a month.
Yeah, they don't. The mortgage that we're paying to them, they're not paying out to somebody else.
Correct.
They're not borrowing at the prime rate from the Fed,
No.
as we're led to believe.
No, just strippers and clowns. It's just slush money.
So it really behooves you to open up a bank.
Yeah. Yeah. But then that's why the Fed says, hey, the Fed can then cause certain conditions.
Because you're a member of the Fed as a bank.
Yep.
Well, you
You're a
don't
member
have
of
to
the
be,
Fed.
do you?
Yeah.
You have to be a member of...
I don't know, but I can't imagine you can play against the big boys.
I don't think they'd let you do it.
I don't know enough about it. But they do put rules in place that are across the board for banks that have to meet certain criteria.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they come in and close them down. And that's why you always see there's always a bank there. It's just somebody new. And there becomes less and less different brands, and it's more and more consolidated.
Yes.
That's the game. And so within the game, now maybe we've scratched the surface on when you go see some documentaries on banking. Exactly. Some of that will make more sense, or maybe there's a little more foundation for you to when you watch The Money Masters for William Stills or G. Edward Griffin.
Okay. So, I don't know how much we got caught on video, but you were talking about a new idea. I don't know if you want to record that.
No.
Okay.
Because watch this.
It's
not.
It's a potential...
It's something that I'd be willing to try, and it'd be risky as hell. And if somebody goes, "Oh no, that's it," right, without really knowing,
Exactly.
because if you know as much as, let's say, I don't know, when you have the conviction I do that'll work,
Yeah.
you'll find that formula in your mind on your own.
One thing I know, it seems like a lot of people would have a question about when they start engaging in this whole idea of public trust and being a sovereign and a free man and all this is because we're all strapped to the max and we're in debt and maybe we got in debt and we shouldn't have been in debt, or it was
Dishonor.
It was a growing economy and all
Yeah.
that, so it's like the A for V is a huge question.
Yeah.
And
In other words, uncertainty at a certain point of knowledge. Is that a huge question?
Well, I think just more of a first time people getting into this, they're like, wow, you mean there's a public trust for me?
Oh,
I can
right,
take advantage?
right,
You mean I can
right.
get myself out of debt and actually breathe and go live the life I want to live, you know?
Yeah.
So, successes with A for V, or, what have you seen with people, and is it really just as simple as putting in some paperwork?
Yeah. Yep. And it's also, does that mean that no one will rebut it, that you won't run into resistance? That's not what that means, and I expect resistance. And conviction will get you out and around it. You just won't care what they say. I mean, right? At some point, you could have, if you have all the conviction and certainty in your heart, you can even say the wrong things, but you're certain. You can just that just trumps whatever kind of resistance you might get.
Because the resistance might come from people and administrators who don't even actually know.
Just don't know, right?
And so they're just going based on what they
How they
think
perceive.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I know how the system works.
Right.
There's my silo.
Right.
I want,
Well, and here's something, just so a side note and a segue into that. is one of the things that I tell people that I tender my A for V to is that first of all, here's some background. If I give you a check, can you tell by looking at it or feeling it or listening to it that whether or not there's funds behind it?
No.
You have to tender it into the system, don't you?
Yeah.
You just do. And so what I tell people when I give them an A for V is, are you an expert in negotiable instruments? Do you have the ability to determine that there are funds behind it?
No.
Right, but I say, hey, listen, I do not grant you the authority to make a legal determination on this instrument. Tender it into the system and see what happens. And if you don't do that, now you did not handle with ordinary care. You've said, hey, I'm not going to bother depositing this check. I'm gonna just say no because it's my judgment.
Yeah.
And so now, whoever refuses payment holds the liability. That's a maximum of loss. So if they just simply refuse to do the right thing, they're on the hook. And so when you know that, that's you know.
That's a good point.
Oh.
That's a really good point.
What's the maximum?
The maximum is whoever refuses payment holds the liability. There's a way back in the common law days, if I were to sue you for $100 and you didn't have it, you would literally be my bond servant, and the judge would say, okay, fine, you're going to go work for Spencer for $10 a day for this $100. And so you come out to my place, and I'm paying you $10 a day. 5 days, weekend off, do it again. $10, you work it off. At the end of the 10th day, you go to pay me. And I say, I like this guy working around here. I don't want the money. And I refuse it to try to keep you to... And then I say, hey, this guy's never paid me to keep you working. Right? Now we go to court again, and you say, Your Honor, I tendered my $100. He refused. You get to keep the 100, and it blows up in my face if you prove that happened. And now there's ways to do that. You can't be your own witness. Maybe you gave the $100 to somebody else to say, hey, go give this to Spencer for my debt, so that you have a witness. And so maybe Frank brings a couple people with him. Yeah, we did it. Signing affidavits. I was there, handed it to him, wouldn't take it. So that's how you would get proof. I use a notary when I send this stuff in. I sent it. They refused. They hold the liability.
The notary or the...
Well, I use a notary as...
Notary is a witness.
Just a witness.
Professional
Only a witness.
Yeah.
Only a witness. They don't apply judgment to the thing. They just say, I don't know anything about it, but this is a copy of what I sent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I keep originals. They keep copies. And so there's ways around all that. There's ways to checkmate them to keep them from arguing. Legitimately ignorant or willfully deceitful. Who knows where it is on the scale.
Yeah.
But there's ways to ensure that your tender of A for V is sent to the right place.
So again, this is how the system works, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
It's how banks do it. It's how
Since 33.
yeah. Okay.
You know what? There may have been some evolution from 33 up to, there may have been a growing period to kind of transition out of another system, which was probably a shaking out of a bunch of banks that weren't Fed members.
Okay.
There must have been ways to shed those guys out of business, and there might have been some heartache along the way. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but I doubt it was perfectly seamless and all that kind of thing. But at the same time, there were probably banks that were set up and ready to go also, which would have been the First National Bank of whatever's. You saw those a lot, and those were probably branched out chains ready to go. And part of the illusion from a customer standpoint is how solid they are, right? That's that. Oh man, these guys are this is a great bank. And they probably would advertise how solid and stable they are, and they're affiliated with the federal government, kind of a thing. Oh wow, and not knowing
FDIC.
Right.
Members of FDIC.
But not knowing the full story, maybe. And
So just an overview is we've been going to these claim check issuers,
yeah,
banks via the Federal Reserve to get our fungible property commodity, which we could just go and they go to the silo, but we could just go straight to the silo
Yeah.
and ask for our.
You can't do it in advance. It works like insurance.
Okay.
You fix a debt that's already there.
I see.
You can't just write up your own promissory note and go liquidate it.
I see.
It's got to be. It definitely works in advance. There has to be an agreement, an acceptance, and a contract that we need to kill. Maybe is a way to put
because
it.
the Federal Reserve has the real property, the gold or the labor or whatever.
Right.
They issued the notes to the Treasury.
Yeah, if you're doing it back backwards, now you're running parallel to a different system.
Got it.
If when the federal government wants to borrow money into existence for their own use,
Yeah.
that's a different system. and
Interesting.
so that's a lot of therein lies, in my opinion, a lot of the debt. Is the federal government borrowed it into existence. It wasn't our liquidating.
So it wasn't backed on our labor.
Mhm.
So the Federal Reserve is actually a check and balances on the bet of our labor.
I don't see how you mean.
Okay. I was just imagining a positive interpretation of the Federal Reserve. But
Oh. They're fairly neutral if you just know how to use them.
yeah.
If everybody, the downside is ignorance. If we all knew what was going on, they wouldn't get away with claiming
Yeah.
certain debts.
So now enter the IRS. I mean, I don't know if we talked about it on camera, but the IRS then is just the. You said this is about income tax. So
Yeah.
so the income tax then is the way to again secure the.
Well,
Treasury debt?
it's rent on private script. Income tax
Okay.
is rent to use their private notes. Hey, we had to make these things, and we're loaning them out. Here, if you want to use these things, we're going to rent them out, just like a local rental yard for a Traco.
Okay.
And they started out with a certain percentage, and now it's up to whatever it is, a third.
So if you are going to engage in this system and produce this much value, here's the thing that, again, from a child mind, I'm doing the work. Why do I have to pay for my work? That's weird. You're paying me.
Yep.
You're paying me money for the work I'm doing. Why do I have to?
Yep.
So really, what it is
It's rent on the money.
I'm paying for the rent on the use of the money you're
script.
giving me.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
It's private script. If I'm the Federal Reserve and I have all these notes out there, you guys are going to use them on my terms. If I have this Volkswagen car and you're going to use it, you're going to use it on my terms. Hey, no McDonald's. It's got to be back at my house by Saturday. I want the gas tank filled
Yeah.
up. Just like if you rent a car from Avis, they have terms and conditions
Yeah.
for that car to come back plus rent. And so the Federal Reserve has terms and conditions plus rent on their property, which in this case is not a car, it's their private script. Here.
So when a person is extracting themselves from the income revenue system,
Yeah, I don't know why you would. How is it harmful? Because if you get a bill, who cares? Go to the silo and get some money.
oh okay,
I don't care.
okay,
Yeah, but
just
the-
settle up with
The
the
bill may be a small amount.
A for B.
Yeah.
That's why I've kind of not been too concerned about why pull out, why try to get out of any system. Fine,
Yeah.
go get it. And if everybody was doing that, there wouldn't be oppression, right? There's no tyranny anymore.
Yeah. So then, do you even file
For
taxes?
I haven't had a job to file
No.
But if somebody did have a job,
for years.
and
Yeah.
the employer or payee
Yeah.
would have sent off something, a 1099,
Yeah.
a W-2, W-4, whatever, to the IRS
Yeah.
saying, yeah, this person got paid such and such amount of income and they owe such and such amount in taxes.
Yep.
So,
They always send you a voucher. The IRS always sends you the check to pay it with. So I mean,
but you would, but would you not still fill out a 1040 or some kind of doing?
I don't know. I've been out of that system for so long
So let's say
because I don't want to work. I don't want a job.
you're
Yeah.
paid your employer sends the W-2, W-4, whatever.
1099, depending on what your situation
Yeah,
is, it
independent
might be a
contractor.
different
Yeah.
form.
Sends that to the IRS saying we paid this Joe,
Some of your script. He's
Some-
using he's using all this property of yours.
Okay.
This is how much property he used.
So here's the claim
This is the
check.
car he rented.
So then the IRS assesses a levy against your. Okay. So if you don't file your taxes, and then the IRS says, so what you said, the IRS gives you the note to pay it,
The check to pay it with.
The voucher.
and what is that voucher?
It's a negotiable instrument. It's got routing numbers and account numbers and
No,
a value on it.
what is technically
Like a
what is?
bill. Say they send you a bill.
Oh, they
IRS
send you.
A
It's-
bill.
IRS
it's
sends
the
you
coupon you have to
a
fill
And
out.
and that would be
They
after
usually
the
send you a
fact,
check.
then basically, like after you didn't pay it,
No, it comes with the bill.
right.
comes with the
The check to pay it comes with the bill.
initial 1099 or
No,
W-2 or
no.
whatever.
No, it comes
The
with
1040.
You're
The
not.
1040 doesn't really have
It's
it.
not the
It doesn't, does it?
1040 though.
no.
It would basically. I think I'm following.
They
you.
send you an assessment then. Whatever when
They-
so when they send you a
But
bill,
they
hey,
would
you-
send you the. It's not the assessment that's from your
Correct.
payee or employer.
Correct.
Basically, it would be after you just didn't file,
Oh, you file and don't send in a check. And then they'll send you.
but it would.
Oh, you filed. Don't send in
Okay.
a check, and then they'll send you.
Then
the
you'll send you
voucher.
back and say,
Right.
"Hey, this is how much you owe." It'll have the voucher and the cutoff part.
Yeah.
And then you
Right.
you
Plus
then you
the-
do the A for B
plus-
on that
plus the-
and send it in.
Shit. So filing your taxes is actually saying, oh yeah, I agree to this.
Yeah.
I agree to
You're-
the terms of using your money. Here's your money. Here's.
No, but you don't send in a check.
I know, but I'm saying
But
what.
this is how much.
Accepted
This is how much
value.
the amount is. Then they send it back to you. Yeah, this is it.
But millions of Americans are filing their taxes and paying their taxes. They're paying off the bill for using the script. And you're saying that's stupid people. Don't pay the bill.
with labor
Use
again.
the bill.
Yeah, use the bill and send it to the treasury.
Okay, I need to go get
Because
a job.
it is the coupon.
I've got one.
Almost makes me want to go and
Got
get a
one,
job.
so-
So don't or file. Don't send the check. They send you the bill. Okay, great. Here's where you go get the money from.
Now that you know this, have you seen my interview from Ben Lowry?
I'm not yet. I'm going to.
It'll make sense.
Yeah, I saw it there, but I watched his interview.
It'll make sense now.
Okay. Wow.
Or
It's
they'll
just- it's-
maybe it won't make sense. It'll have more context.
Oh yeah, well, this totally makes sense. It's the funny thing is that everything in this.
Now that I've done. Got a letter back from the IRS. Thank you. You want to hear the story on it? Or am I
Yeah,
cutting you off?
absolutely.
Okay, so I was helping somebody out with this. Had a bunch of vouchers and this and that. The other thing, they're all
Yeah.
panicked. Worked for a big.com before the bubble burst in '99. Cashed out before the bubble burst. Had a modest salary. So in the year 2000, there was a very large tax debt. They panicked. Not really panicked, but oh my God, everything that was taken out of their salary that year only paid the 99 debt from the stock cash out. 2001, same thing. 2, 3, they're never paying on the year where currency was withheld. Didn't know this system because it was always paying that. So now every year that they worked, they were accruing more debt. We finally had a conversation. I said, hey, maybe we should start small with some of this stuff on your credit report. Let's clean that up first before we go to the big stuff. Not for my learning, but for your comfort zone. You need to be competent at a certain level before you go jumping into the deep end of the pool. IRS is the deep end of the pool, right? Because they're skilled in challenging you. So, boom, days later, they got a big presentment from the IRS. And now, knowing what I know, you can't be in dishonor. You cannot be silent to this. And I said at the same time, let's do this. They had been studying a bunch more, and they're going, yeah, let's do it. My guess is that they started to have a certain confidence in me more than they learned. So I did a big. I do what I do. I did the accepted for value, and let's not get into all the details. But I sent in the packet, and it takes hours to prep it. And I sent Treasury a copy. They never sent anything back negatively. 35 days later, they sent back a letter. Thank you. We're in receipt of your communication. and there was a new printout of the years and the debts that were owed. Those years that they sent in as a presentment were no longer on this new printout. The debt from 140,000, I think it was 138,000, was now down to 55 grand. Whatever it was, the $83,000 was removed out of the claim, what they were asking for. We're just now down to all the years that you haven't sent in yet. Thank you. In other words, do the math backwards and it all adds up. Those years that we sent in, gone. That value was no longer there.
Yeah.
No, again, what is that you did with the presentment they sent a few days later?
The presentment they sent a few days later after.
After you sent in the FOV.
Well, along with that, thank you, was more vouchers for other years. Did those up and then they got those back.
Not the thank you. Not the thank you. We're in receipt of
Yeah.
your correspondence.
Yeah.
Before that, you sent the A4V,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then they sent you a big presentment. You said, right?
No.
Was that a big presentment? No.
No. Nothing. They sent but conversation between them and I.
Yeah.
They sent a presentment. That's what I sent in.
Okay.
35 days later was a thank you,
Oh, okay.
and then a couple more years, but not all of them. They were just kind of metering it out. Let's not have this thing blow up. Here's a couple more years of vouchers. They were so excited, I got a photograph on my phone. Pause this, let's go back historically. I kept asking, don't you have any coupons or voucher paperwork? Give me something to work with here. I'm so convinced that they were so scared, they just kept saying, no, I don't know, I don't have anything. Just couldn't look at it because it was so heavy on them.
Yeah.
Well, after the thank you letter, after they've seen the results with their own eyeballs, they went digging through and found some stuff under their bed and just laid them all out like a deck of cards and snapped a picture and sent it to me. I found more.
So they did not file for these additional years because they.
No, they did.
Oh, they did.
Just not enough money to pay.
Yeah.
Just sweating and paying as much as I can and all these withholdings and
Yeah.
because of that big cash out of stock.
Yeah.
They were paying. They were filing. They were doing everything but just drowning. Not because they thought they had to pay with labor again.
So don't avoid filing.
Ooh,
Don't.
No,
that's
No,
what you
you
call
have
dishonor.
to. That's what gets you into trouble, basically, if you don't.
Once you've entered
Because
into the system.
how can you correct the record that they have that's saying that there's a discrepancy here and you owe
You
us?
have to be an honor, huh? You
Yeah.
gotta be smart.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's just say, because again, some people who get attracted into this have been kind of rebellious and said, "Screw that! I'm not going to file anymore."
Yeah, you can
That's
learn
me.
just a little.
I don't file.
And so,
Well-
so you get in this situation now where
I
you're,
haven't filed in 3-4 years.
yeah. So 3-4 years later, you haven't filed at all. Are you recommending going back and filing?
Well, I wouldn't say that I recommend anything. Now we're getting into some water that I don't know much about,
Okay.
or less. I know very little about. And so the worst case scenario in my mind is
Yes.
that the IRS asks for a debt, and that's so easy. I wouldn't see the harm in contacting them and say, hey, where are we at? This is what I've done. I wasn't doing anything willfully or maliciously. What do you guys recommend in this situation that I haven't talked to you in X years? Is that something I should have done? I don't know. Where are we at with this? What can I do? No, I'm serious.
Yeah, no, that's great. That makes total sense.
This is how,
Yeah.
what's up, guys?
Yeah.
Just play the fool
Yeah,
in the
totally.
beginning.
It's the total Bob Wiley. Yeah.
So you're saying, from most people's point of view, the worst case scenario is that they present you with a tax lien. From your point of view, that's great because once they do that, then you have
Not a lien, just a request.
or-
to present
yeah,
it.
there we go. Request to pay. So once you get that, then that's golden because you just saved your fee.
Right, yeah. No problem, guys. Let me help you settle this account. We
Yeah.
don't want these open accounts.
That's where I'm at. If they contact you saying you owe this, sure.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Yep.
But I'm not gonna file.
Proactive.
Because my understanding is that that's only for government subjects. And I'm not one of them. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if
But
they
I
say
also think there's an.
I owe something,
I
then
think
I'll
there's an
deal with it then.
open door to get that currency back again, though, too. Return of currency to source.
You're talking about the
Return of interest to principal.
You're talking about the mortgages?
No, any IRS payment. So now you're the source of all that income, right? That was your property that came out of the chute,
Yeah.
and it went out into circulation. Another thing this third-party debt collector does is you say, hey, look, isn't all that money that got released out of there, isn't that my property? Should return to source? And so there is paperwork, but you damn well better know what and why you're doing it. To say all this that 110 grand that came out of the chute, hey, where is that? It's mine, baby. Give it back to me. There's stories of guys getting deep into six figures and some into seven of dollars back once they understand all this money that I ever put out into circulation's mine.
So they get the house that they incurred the debt with plus the money.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Guys have done that. And so that started to put such a ripple into the system that they just quit playing the game by the rules, the IRS, for that aspect of it.
Got it.
And now to continue that conversation is something that I have thoughts and experiences beyond that I won't put on tape. Is that thing still going?
Yeah.
No, it's
Pause
not.
You want to pause it? Because
No.
since he has this thought, I want to.
Yeah, that's positive.
I want to hear.
It's on the right side.
I got it.
Me.
So
Gold.
the powers that be kind of have a certain view that they want to put out to us all the time, right? Whatever that is we're kept dumbed down through the media and whatever. Look at our the appetite that is maintained for cash in the movies, right? Don't they want to?
Oh yeah.
They just want to keep us just salivating over these big bundles of money,
Yeah.
like the Italian Job,
Yeah.
or whatever. These guys are going in to get these big
Stack of money.
mother loads of money, to keep us just going. God, that's just it, and that isn't it, right?
It's so funny. I use cash now. I'm like, God, this doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's nice I can get stuff with it and buy gas and all that, but it doesn't mean anything. As I'm,
You know what? I have a tendency to be just stupid and silly as hell, probably way more inappropriate than. And I used to say, before I knew any of this stuff, I used to tell people, I said, hey, I don't have any money. Is cash okay? And it's all I got. And I had no idea what I was saying. None. Just being dumb.
That's called a little precognitive.
Yeah.
Access to somebody's destiny.
So, okay. So this whole thing about cash we were talking about, I don't know if we got that on tape, but just about it's only when you go
Just give it up.
on debt,
Yeah, give it up.
only when you acquire debt or get debt or have a lien against you or a presentment from the IRS or anything do you have, can you utilize the silo
Yeah. Yep. Insurance. Think of insurance.
insurance?
Right, you pay in on insurance, and you there's no way you'd go to your agent and go, can't we loosen up a little? I haven't had an accident yet, but can we just loosen up a little coin out of this thing? He'd go, no.
Yeah.
No, what are we fixing? That's what this thing's for. Because watch this. Here's what doesn't work. We all just sit on our ass and tap into the silo.
Absolutely. They drain.
Right. And so that's why I don't get too excited about I don't need to measure what I do. I just do what I do. Does that make a little more sense? Once you know this stuff, I just do what I do for someone, and I just ask that they do what they can and however they value it. That's what I ask.
Yeah, and that ultimately, as we were talking about future economic systems, that's where it comes down.
Frank
to
buys me
is-
beers.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Whatever. You decide it's beer.
Oh, okay, right. He gives me a gift certificate.
There you go.
But we never discussed a number on it.
No.
I didn't even ask. Well, I don't know that I didn't ask for it, but I just, hey, and yeah, that's probably a good idea. Bought me a gift certificate at a little restaurant. I went down there. Hey, my buddy Frank just hooked me up. You got a gift certificate? She said, are you Spencer? Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I've gotten, literally, somebody was, hey, I'm at Target. Do you need anything? Yeah, I really need socks and a laundry basket. Helped her with the mortgage. Hooked me up with socks and a laundry basket.
Awesome.
Yeah, just
got
little
some
stuff like that.
Phones and laptops,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Just whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Because they had access to these things at a discount or reasonable, whatever.
Yeah.
And so why give him $800 when I can lose 50, but he's getting 800 value, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Let's just find efficiencies
Yeah.
and these people that are in these bad financial situations and don't understand currency don't have the wherewithal to, I don't know.
Yeah, and we should really get back to keeping our financial relationships between each other.
Yeah.
Trading services, goods, or things like that. It just
So on that note, what is $1? Now that it says this is $1 on a claim ticket, and if you look at a silver certificate, it says this is good to the bearer for $1 in silver. This isn't $1. It's good for $1 in silver. So what is $1?
It's a unit of measurement.
That's it. It's like an inch.
it's about 10 cucumbers, I think. Should be
Yeah.
It
I don't
equates to a certain weight in silver or gold, right?
Well, it used to. No, not even weight. It's just a unit. Now it's just it's a way to measure money, which is almost a way to measure our productivity. It's like saying a foot. What is a foot? Well, it's 12 inches, but it's not a thing. You can't touch it. It's just a span. If this is let's say that's a foot. There's nothing in between there, right? It's a unit of measure. And so, talk about abstract. You roll that around in your mind for a while. What is it? It's a measurement of something.
It's just a distinction,
Mental construct.
and it could be applied to anything.
But it's a unit of measure, is my point. Like a pound, or not a British pound, but a weight, a kilogram or a degree Celsius, or it's a measuring unit.
But ultimately, it is an agreement, because that $1 could be applied to oil, to corn chips, to gold, to silver, to services, to whatever.
It's a conversion, though.
It's a conversion, but it's always a relationship, because you and I are agreeing that
That's that much of it.
this is worth that.
And when you turn down
dollar.
the deal, that's not $6 to me.
Yeah. So ultimately, even though there's this entity or whatever called the Treasury or the system that's
An
saying,
organization, maybe.
yeah, it's still, this is what I'm putting up a service worth $80. So I'm valuing my service at $80. If you come buy that from me, you're agreeing.
Yeah. Yep. No question. No question. And you can price yourself right out of the market.
Yep. So it's still perception of value.
Yep.
Ultimately.
Yep.
And then the unit itself, the dollar, is just an agreed upon unit to be able to have a conversation about that agreement of value.
Do you see money any different now?
Yeah, I have been for about a month, but even more so now. Yes.
Yeah.
Mostly about the system and how it was set up, and
My foot does not hurt. I went for a walk. That's unheard of. Unheard of.
Nice.
Yeah.
well, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Just press it again.
That's it.
The one that I know of.
Yeah. So I did 1, 2, 3 step with county treasurer, and supposedly my tenant said, hey, something came in your name from the treasurer in registered mail. So she's in the
Probably
process
certified.
of mailing it to me here.
Sure it wasn't
No.
certified? Registered's pretty rare.
No, I'm sorry, certified.
Yeah.
Certified mail, yeah.
Register's very rare for
Right.
government.
So certified mail. So she's forwarding it to me here. My guess is that they want to get paid, right? Because they didn't like the A4B stuff.
But I
No,
have an
I-
opinion on that I've already expressed, that I kind of think you did short them a little bit.
Yeah, right. I didn't send them the original instrument. I didn't send a copy of the original instrument to them.
Right.
I only sent it to the IRS
Yeah.
and the treasurer.
Yeah.
So they don't know.
Oh, I did tell them what I did with the IRS.
Yeah.
But I didn't send one of the instruments
Okay.
to them. I didn't know, there was a step to do.
Well, so you're already doing this process.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
We chat online about it. Frank and I do.
so I'm guessing that they want to get paid, right? With FRNs. Now, I guess I have more than one.
But
way.
they won't accept cash. I doubt they would accept cash. They want something they can deposit. I don't think they'd take cash.
What do you mean cash? Like a check?
No, like an actual stack of cash. If you went in there.
Actual FRNs.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
How much is it? $1,000?
It's like almost 3,000.
3,000.
I don't think they'd take greens. I think they want a check.
Right, that's what I meant.
Okay.
You know,
When you're as specific as FRNs, I kept up with you.
yeah. So no, they want a check. You know, like a regular,
Yep.
whatever they expect usually.
Yeah.
I guess I can take this several ways. I can send them the original instrument
I would.
with the conditional acceptance,
Yeah.
right? And I would send them my record with the treasurer. Say, this is what I did with the treasurer. This matter is settled because she did respond. She's in, estoppel.
Yep.
She's, estoppel is in effect here. So, but in good faith, I will send you this original instrument, which you can tender into your financial institution.
Yep.
It's a good faith act on my part.
I like all this so far. Yeah. And then any overpayment just goes to future credit. When they get a wire transfer from the Fed,
Yeah, actually, I didn't think of that, but that's a good point. And
and then you just send them if I can just interject,
Yeah.
a request for statement of account maybe in 3 months, 12 weeks, and see if that wire transfer didn't get, and now all of a sudden you got a credit.
right, well, I can check online to see what my balance is.
Oh, okay.
Because right now it shows that I'm overdue and there's late fees and whatever.
Yeah.
Or my second option is to send whatever they send me back to them, like he did with the tickets. Refused because this
Yeah.
matter has been settled and closed due to dishonor and
I just said default dishonor, yeah.
I can do one of those two things.
You could. You could. I like sending them another instrument. I mean, let's just put money out there.
Yeah.
You got to send them something.
Come here.
Yeah, one or the other. Yeah.
Come here.
Jet.
Keep going. Trying to have us back him up.
Jack.
I'm having fun.
Listen.
Do you work much with the the courts and the law side like Dean does, or you more on the financial side?
Way more on this A for V, helping people out with debt.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
I was wondering if he does courts and law like Dean.
Okay.
I mean, some. Mostly for me.
But you never have gone to court?
Yeah,
yet?
traffic stuff.
Oh, okay. How'd you fare?
Great.
Can you,
I'm asked to repeat the story often.
I know.
I went to. I got a couple of charges on one instrument. Were you here yesterday?
Oh, yeah, he missed this the morning.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say that's it. But if you didn't hear it, I got a traffic ticket, and I was still learning this stuff. Didn't know how to handle him. The cop. 2 charges on one instrument, and so I went to court, and I was late. It was the last one there, and right as I'm putting my first step through the threshold into the courtroom, that I hear the judge, even before I'm coming through, I hear him say, "Is there anyone who I haven't heard from," or something, right? And right as I'm stepping through the door, I said, "Yeah, right here." And he says, "Well, come on up. Who are you?" And so he looks up the charge and he says, "Well, are you pleading guilty or not guilty?" And I'm still not to the podium yet. Maybe I just got there or something, and I said, there's 2 charges on here. There's this charge and there's this charge. And so, are you asking me to plead guilty to this one? Or are you asking me to plead guilty to this one? Or how do I give you one answer for 2 questions? Case dismissed. Turn around and walk out. It was maybe 60 seconds.
Wait a minute, isn't that also the one where you said sold?
So I did. When I turned around and left, I said sold. And I instantly regretted the shit out of it.
Oh, God.
Because I thought, man, I don't want to get in trouble with, contempt of court or...
Yeah, you don't want to see that judge again.
No. Well, and I will. I will. It's almost as small a town as
Yeah.
here. And I own a house in that town. So
what did
So was this?
So that was it, though. You walked out of there.
oh,
Clean.
I said sold with my back to him.
Uh,
he didn't say anything? about that?
He might.
Case dismissed.
Oh, you might
All
have
right.
been here.
So walking out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got a question about the honor dishonor thing.
Yeah.
Say somebody has a
Can I pause you for a second?
Sure.
The reason I did a lot of that stuff is not because I'm absolutely certain it was great. Is because as I was learning through this stuff, I was so unsure of myself that I didn't want to give the other side an ability to claim conflict. Whereas when Dean gets there, he doesn't give a shit. He knows it maybe enough to handle it anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't feel I had that then, so I never wanted to give him an excuse to haul me in front of a judge. Okay.
okay. So I just want to address getting back into honor.
Yeah.
Say somebody has something that they've been billed for and they've gotten into dishonor, so they haven't responded. So, the phone starts ringing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Do they have the opportunity to return to honor
Always.
anytime somebody sends them another bill?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I kind of suspected that, but
Absolutely.
I wanted to get that clarified.
Absolutely. Even after default, if you know how to do it.
Yeah.
After default. I mean,
And how was that? I mean, how
Well,
do you properly do that?
I would just start up a new notice, a new conversation. Hey, this is where we're at. This is the default. It's just contract. Because a default is just a point in time in a contract. You can say, yeah, now I don't think you could conditionally accept it to undo it. But, I mean, back into honor, I'd like to, take care of this. Give me 45 days and whatever. I don't know. You just keep a conversation going.
Just basically taking the steps to get the conversation going again.
Yeah.
Brings you back into that.
Yeah, I'd like to
You know,
resolve this matter.
right.
I
Yeah.
I understand that, and here we are, and this is,
I had a student loan that I just said, one thing led to another. I just couldn't pay it, and it was like 2, 3, 4 months now, and now they're like, okay, we're going to send this to collections, and I basically just got back on the phone and said, okay, I'm sorry, can we start over and
yeah,
let's initiate the payment process again.
yeah.
And so even if it's
Did they pull it out of collections?
yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
So collections agencies, you deal with it in the same manner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Collection agencies are a little bit different. Once a creditor has handed over a debt to a collection agent, they have a private agreement between themselves that now I can't go pay the creditor
Right.
because this collection agent's going, okay, hey, if we're going to set up an account and move forward on this, we've now committed a certain amount of energy that we expect to then be able to capitalize on when we get paid back.
Right.
If you guys go taking money from him and resolve the account over here, we just pissed away a bunch of time.
Right.
And so once it's gone to a collection agent, it as far as I know, it doesn't do any good to pay the original creditor, or they love it. It's just extra payment.
Right.
Yeah.
but you don't have a contract with the collection agency. You have the contract with the original creditor.
Bingo.
Yeah.
There you go.
So if the original creditor just discharged it
Or sold
written
it.
off, sold
So
it.
who knows how they did it?
If they have a contract or they sold your debt, if they sold your debt, they're not
They
claiming
were
any
compensated.
Right.
They said, we'll take that. We'll take that for that debt. That debt no longer exists.
So we'll take $800 for your $10,000 that you owe us.
Hoping that the debt collector is now hoping your ignorance in what you're saying. You don't know that.
So basically, anytime a third-party debt collector has taken it, the debt has been taken care of.
No.
Yeah. No.
No.
That's what that was my.
Well,
understanding.
to the person,
Watch.
The original
it
didn't
even
debt
exist in the first place.
Well, hold on. Yes, I got you. But so debt collectors started to get wise to that concept that you're seeing. So attorneys said this: hey, I'm a collection agent. I'm going to work for Bank of America. You guys assign it to me. But check this out. If I buy it right now, that means that that guy no longer has a standing. Let me just be your agent. I'm going to collect for you. It's still your account.
Got it.
It's still your debt. And I'll tell you what, I'll kick you back 50. Let's go 50-50 on this thing.
So they're a hired gun, a Guido.
A Guido.
They no longer buy the debts.
And so therefore the debt was never extinguished. It's still a valid debt somewhere. It's just they're making the phone calls or whatever. There's no transfer. The debt still is housed over in that original account held by the original creditor.
You got
So there's ways around. In other words, once that happens, there's sharp minds that go, God, we don't want to get caught by these guys that kind of know a little bit. Let's keep trying something new. So you don't know what happened when a collection agent, you're saying, hey, wait a minute. So one of the things I say is, hey, we'll start talking on proof of claim that this hasn't been on-sold or transferred, or what's the status of this account? Tell me that first before show me your standing for me to talk to you. And so going back to honor and dishonor, and you take Dean's approach, and he says, hey, you have no standing. You don't know that. You don't know because you don't know what agreements were made. Maybe the guy does have standing. He's just an agent. So you say proof of claim that you have standing on. Now when they don't do that, and they did have standing, they're in dishonor, and
they don't.
Now they can't come and talk about it in a public forum. A court. A trial.
Okay, explain that again. When they don't divulge to you the standing of the debt.
If I ask for it to be
Okay.
an honor, I'll say, hey, I'm happy to accept on proof of claim, and they're just silent. And they never provided proof of claim that we have something to talk about.
Okay.
not the standing of the debt,
Right.
the standing of themselves
In
as,
relationship-
as being a party
Yeah.
in the
Perfect.
Either
Yeah.
an agent or
Yeah.
a purchaser of the debt.
Uh-huh.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm gonna go put a jacket on.
Cool.
Cool.